Welcome friends. In this module, we will see object-oriented database. DBMS have been widely used in data processing environment since 1960s because of the characteristics such as data sharing, independence, consistency and integrity which the traditional file systems lack. An object database or object-oriented database management system is a database management system in which information is represented in the form of objects as used in object-oriented programming. The term object-oriented database system first appeared around 1985 and notable research projects included ENCORE OB Server, IRIS, ODE, Orion, etc. For example, an object-oriented implementation of the employee database consists of three classes or three types of objects such as employee, job and job assignment. An object from employee class contains entries such as start date and term date. The object-oriented database. A conceptual representation of the above mentioned database is shown in the figure. Here, the links between the various objects are shown by lines connecting the related objects. These links are stored and maintained by the DBMS. So, the programmer who writes application software is free of considering the implementation details of these links. When a new object is added to the database, the application software merely specifies the other objects to which it should be linked. The object-oriented DBMS should also provide permanent storage for the objects entrusted to it. In normal situations, when an object-oriented program is executed, the objects created during the program's execution are discarded when the program terminates. But objects created and added to a database must be saved even after the termination of the program. Hence, the objects in the database are persistent. If we are making an object-oriented programming language into a database programming language, there must be a way to make objects persistent. There are different approaches for this and are listed below. Persistence by class. The simplest but most inconvenient way is to declare that a class is persistent, when by default all objects of the class are persistent. Persistence by creation. Here, new syntax is introduced to create persistent objects. An object is said to be either persistent or transient depending on the way of creation. Persistence by marking. In this approach, after the creation of the objects, they are marked as persistent. All objects are created as transient objects, but if an object is persist beyond the execution of the program, it must be marked explicitly as persistent before the program terminates. Persistence by reachability. One or more objects are explicitly declared as root or persistent objects. The other objects are persistent if and only if they are reachable from root object through a sequence of one or more references. There are different methods to find an object in the database. One method is to give names to objects as names given to files. Another method is to expose object identifiers or persistent pointers to the objects which can be stored externally. Yet another way is to store collections of objects. These objects can be modeled as objects of a collection type. Most object-oriented database systems support all the three ways to access persistent object. Characteristics of ODBMS. The database system should satisfy certain characteristics to be an object database. They are encapsulation, types, classes, inheritance, complex objects, object identity, extensibility, persistence, overloading, overriding, computational completeness, storage management, concurrency and recovery. Encapsulation. Encapsulation can be viewed either in programming language view or the database adaptation of that view. Encapsulation is the representation of the data object by its attributes and the associated methods specified to manipulate those data objects. Here, the operations performed on the data objects are visible, but the data and the implementation are hidden. Types and classes. Type refers to the particular set of objects in the system consisting of interface and the implementations. Generally, interfaces are visible to the user and the implementations are hidden. Class is a template for creating the objects of a particular type having their own implementations. The new objects can be created by performing new operation on the class. Inheritance. Inheritance is the most important feature of the object database, which specifies the hierarchical relationships between different objects at different levels and give code reusability. There are different types of inheritance like substitution inheritance, constraint inheritance, inclusion inheritance and specialization inheritance. Complex objects. Complex objects are built by using the basic data objects like integers, strings, real numbers and boolean. There are various complex data objects such as array, list, index, tuples, etc. User can define methods to manipulate these new complex types. Object identity. It is a very important issue in database. Each object has to be uniquely identified from the whole database or similar kinds of objects. Each object has a unique identity and we can access and edit the object by using this. It can be variable name or a physical address space in memory. Extensibility. Database system has its own predefined set of data types using which we can write new types, and there is no usage difference between the built-in types and the user-defined type, but there may be strong difference in the way two are supported. Persistence. It is the ability of the system data to preserve or survive during execution so that it can be further used by another process. Persistency provides the reusability. Overriding and overloading. They use the same name for implementing the object methods or operations to represent the same data in different ways. Computational completeness. This property says that we can define or implement any kind of computable function for the ODB using DML of database system. Computational complete system gives almost all of the operation implementation. Secondary storage management. The data in system is managed so as to get the quick and easier access. It is supported using different techniques including data clustering, indexing, query optimization, data buffering and access path selection. But these are invisible to users. It has two levels of management such as logical and physical. Concurrency. When a large number of users are interacting with the database, the system must provide same level of service to all the users. It should avoid the system failure, incomplete transactions, etc. The techniques for these come under concurrency. Recovery. The system should be able to recover itself to original state if it suffers from the hardware or software failures. RDBMS versus ODBMS. An object-oriented database stores complex data and relationships between data directly without mapping to relational rows and columns, and this makes them suitable for applications dealing with very complex data. Objects have a many-to-many relationship and are accessed with help of pointers. Pointers are linked to objects to establish relationships. Another benefit of an ODBMS is that it can be programmed with small procedural changes without affecting the entire system. This feature helps those organizations which have data relationships that are not entirely clear or need to change these relations to satisfy the new business requirements. The object-oriented approach to the design of the database allows the entire software system to be designed in the same paradigm. The historical approach is to use an imperative programming language to develop application software for relational database. An object-oriented database combined with an object-oriented application program produces a homogeneous image of objects communicating with each other throughout the system. But a relational database combined with an imperative application program provides an image to inherently different organizations trying to find a common interface. Another thing for comparison is the relational counterparts of the database. While storing names in an employee database, if the entire name is stored as a single attribute in a relation, then inquiries regarding only last names are not so appreciable. But if the name is stored as three separate attributes such as first name, middle name and last name, then it is difficult to deal with people whose names do not conform to the first name, middle name and the last name template. In object-oriented database, these difficulties can be solved easily. An employee name can be stored as an intelligent object that is capable of reporting the related employee's name in a variety of formats. Hence, from outside these objects, it would be just easy to deal with last names only as with entire names. The details involved with each perspective would be encapsulated within the object. In a relational database, the attributes in a relation are part of the overall design of the database. So, the types associated with these attributes flow to the entire DBMS. Thus, extending a relational database to include attributes of new types may lead to a problematic situation. But in an object-oriented design, the procedure can be used with different objects because the distinction in types can be hidden. Another advantage of the object-oriented paradigm is the potential for storing intelligent objects rather than merely data. An object can contain methods describing how it should respond to messages regarding its contents and relationships. This ability to construct databases whose components respond intelligently to inquiries offers a large number of possibilities than that of relational databases. The advantages and disadvantages of an object-oriented database in view of the relational database can be listed as follows. Advantages: objects don't require execution time to assemble or disassemble objects. Reduced paging, easier navigation, better concurrency control. Data model is based on the real world, works well for distributed architectures, less code required when applications are object-oriented. Disadvantages: lower efficiency when data is simple and relationships are simple. Relational tables are simpler. Late binding may slow access speed. More user tools exist for RDBMS. Standards for RDBMS are more stable. Support for RDBMS is more certain and change is less likely to be required. The object-oriented database query. Object-oriented databases use query language like SQL to express the queries, which is called as Object Query Language or OQL. OQL supports all the mandatory features or characteristics of ODBMS to make efficient object database systems. It supports more complex data objects, path expressions, operation invocation, inheritance, object extensions for object identity, etc. OQL is a very efficient way of expressing object queries. It keeps objects' integrity by using implemented methods rather than its own operations. OQL can also be embedded in other languages like C++ and Java. OQL can be defined as a functional or expression-oriented language in which each query is a typed expression. Type can be atomic object, collection object or literal. OQL doesn't have explicit update operations like insert, delete to update database, but as an alternative, it can invoke state-altering methods, create, add and delete etc. to get similar functions. For example, employee name Sanjana, birth date 10/9/1985, salary 25,000 creates a new employee object with necessary attributes data. Like SQL, we can write separate functions to perform certain tasks. Polymorphism. OQL supports the polymorphism feature of the object-oriented programming paradigm. The various classes can have same attributes and method implementations which are in same hierarchy. For example, the employee class has an attribute named activities implemented as an array of strings. Its subclass manager also has a method named activities that overrides inheritance of the employee attribute. Maintaining database integrity. The database management systems for personal use are inexpensive and simple systems. They hide the implementation details of the system from the users. When a problem arises, the user can correct it directly or reload the database from a backup copy and manually make up the modifications. This might be an inconvenient process and is restricted to only a few people. In the case of large multi-user commercial database systems, the cost of incorrect or loose data can be enormous and can have unpredictable consequences. Hence, an important role of the DBMS is to maintain the database's integrity by securing against problems such as partially completed operations or operations producing inaccurate information in the database. Next, we will see this function of the DBMS. The commit rollback protocol. A single transaction such as fund transfer from one bank to another, registration of a student to some university course, etc. may have multiple steps at the database level. For example, the fund transfer needs balance in one bank account to be decremented and the balance in the other account to be incremented accordingly. Between these steps, the information in the database is inconsistent. That is, the funds are missing during the short period after the first account is decremented but before the second is incremented. In the case of large databases involving heavy transaction loads, we can find the database in the middle of some transaction. A request for the execution of a transaction or an equipment failure may occur at a time when the database is in an inconsistent state. The goal of the DBMS is not to freeze the database in an inconsistent state. This is accomplished generally by maintaining a list, generally called log, containing a record of each transaction's activities in a non-volatile storage system. Before a transaction is allowed to alter the database, the alteration to be performed will be recorded in the list. Hence, the list contains every action of the transaction. The point at which all the steps in a transaction have been recorded in the log is called the commit point. At this point, the DBMS becomes committed to the transaction by guaranteeing that the transaction's activities will be reflected in the database. In the case of equipment failure, the DBMS can use the information in its log to reconstruct the transactions that have been completed since the last backup was made. If problems arise before the transaction has reached its commit point, the DBMS might find itself with a partially executed transaction. In this case, the log can be used to roll back the actions performed by the transaction. Sometimes, the rolling back of one transaction might affect the database entries that have been used by other transactions. This means that these additional transactions must also be rolled back, which may affect still other transactions. This problem is known as cascading rollback. Locking. The other problem associated with the DBMS is the partial operations which produce erroneous results. This is called incorrect summary problem. Suppose one transaction is in the middle of transferring funds from one account to another while another transaction is computing the total deposits in the bank. This may result in a total that is either too large or too small depending on the order of these transactions. Another problem is the lost update problem, which is exemplified by two transactions, each of which makes a deduction from the same account. If one of the transactions reads the account's current balance at the point when the other has just read the balance but not yet calculated the new balance. Here, both transactions will base their deductions on the same initial balance in which one of the deductions will not be reflected in the database. To solve such problems, a DBMS could force transactions to execute in their entirety or on a one at a time basis by holding the new transactions in a queue until those preceding it have completed. But a transaction may need to wait for a long time for the operations to be performed. Hence, large DBMS contain a scheduler to coordinate time sharing among transactions in the same way as time sharing operating system coordinates the processes. To protect against the incorrect summary problem and the lost update problem, the schedulers incorporate a locking protocol in which the items within the database currently being used by some transactions are marked as such. These marks are called locks and the marked items are said to be locked. Two common types of locks are shared locks and exclusive locks. If a transaction is not going to alter a data item, then it requires a shared access, but if there is any alteration to the item, it must have exclusive access. Different algorithms are used to handle the cases in which a transaction's access request is rejected. The simplest algorithm is that the transaction is merely forced to wait until the requested item becomes available. but this may lead to deadlock. In order to avoid deadlock, some DBMS give priority to older transactions. Hence, if an older transaction requires access to an item that is locked by a younger transaction, the younger transaction is forced to release the data items and its activities are rolled back. If a younger transaction is repeatedly preempted, it will grow older and will be one among the older transactions. This protocol is called won't wait protocol and will ensure that every transaction will be allowed to complete its task. Now it's time to summarize the session. In this module, an object-oriented database system and its advantages over the traditional relational model are discussed in detail. This module gives an account of the characteristics of ODBMS and OQL. The module ends by referring to the integrity issues of the DBMS and methods to solve these problems like commit, rollback, locking and won't wait protocol. Before we attend the next unit, please try to answer the following questions. What is a persistent object? What are the advantages of an object-oriented database over a relational database? What is meant by cascading rollback? What is the importance of maintaining database integrity? Briefly explain the ODBMS. Write a note on OQL. Books for your reference are J. Glenn Brookshire, Computer Science and Overview, 10th edition, Addison Wesley. A. Shilbo-Schatz, HF Course, S. Sudarshan, Database System Concepts, 5th edition, McGraw-Hill. Kim Bond, Introduction to Object-Oriented Database, the MIT Press, 1990. Hope you enjoyed this session. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.